Hello there and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and this is our program for January 2017, so Happy New Year. In today's show, we're going to start by talking to Tommy Yee. Tommy is at the front end of a really impressive technology revolution, and he's kind of the point guy for what I think is going to create a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities for people in Oklahoma and a lot of workforce development as we continue to transition toward a digital age. So Tommy, welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I always stumble when I try to introduce the type of work that you do, so why don't you fill in the blanks there and explain in perhaps a common language to our audience what it is that your organization is trying to accomplish and what success you've had so far.
Basically what our organization is all about is fostering the technology and entrepreneurial community here in Oklahoma City. We believe that there's a big opportunity in Oklahoma City to really grow that industry. And we have a lot of passionate people in technology, in design, and in entrepreneurship. And so we just want to create this hub and this nexus where, idea people who can build those ideas, and then people who have the funding and the connections can all meet in one location. Because I think if you have those three groups together in one location, it's only a matter of time where good ideas become actual businesses. And I think for us, that's kind of the key is sparking new innovative businesses that can not only start from Oklahoma City but actually grow and remain here in Oklahoma City.
And you have a location in western side of downtown?
Yes, it's on the corner of Sheridan and Klein. It's called Star Space 46, we just opened in November, and we were open as previous incarnations of that same concept for the last 10 years. What makes this space a little different is that now we're not just focusing on tech, but we're focusing on entrepreneurs across the board, whether it's retail or traditional, or even in the creative and arts. We still do have a focus in tech, but we're opening our doors to everybody.
So if we dropped in on your location, what would we see there on a typical day?
Probably a lot of people collaborating and hard at work at the next great idea.
Are they coding or are they talking? And
it's a mixture.
A lot of whiteboard and drawing. What goes on?
Yeah, it's a mixture of everything. There are definitely people who are coders, and you can definitely tell them apart because they're they have their headsets and they're ignoring the world and they're just sitting there typing away. And then you have entrepreneurs and investors and also like the creative types, the designers who are also there, and they're usually the ones who are complaining about my wallpaper and my art and they tell me that the typography is wrong here, but it's really a mixture of everything. And one of the things that we wanted to bring in the event space is basically a critical mass of activity, whether it's technical related, whether it's arts related, or entrepreneurial related. And so we have a partnership with the Techlahoma Foundation. And every day there's a different user group meeting in that space. So whether it's learning about JavaScript, or it could be an event that's hosted by Dead Center. They hosted a screenwriters workshop about 3 weeks ago. And in the evenings, it could be an acoustic rock concert that happens there at night. And so we like to bring a lot of those events because it brings a lot of people from different disciplines and different industries to kind of mingle and be there. And it gives people working at the space an opportunity to kind of break from what they're doing and also meet new people that they may not mingle with on a regular basis. And when you have that cross collaboration of people, that's when great ideas result in new ideas and businesses.
And you've been successful in applying for status with the federal government. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so about a month ago, I applied on behalf of Oklahoma City for this new initiative called TechHires. And it was an initiative that was pushed by President Obama back in 2015, and the purpose of the initiative was basically to promote better workforce development in the tech sector, but then also get employers involved in the education process so they could validate what these programs are teaching, but then also get a commitment from them to hire locally, as opposed to hiring offshore or out of state. It's really about nurturing the talent within your state and then hiring within your state to retain that talent.
Yeah.
And so we applied, and we had in partnership with Techlahoma Foundation and Creative Oklahoma. And we also got a lot of support from local tech employers like Concierge and Tailwind and Vigilant Aerospace. And we also got a lot of support from the local Greater Oklahoma City Chamber and from your office as well. And we really appreciate that. And it was really the partnerships that we forged with that and the commitment that we received from all the employers and organizations like OK Coders that really allowed us to get that designation for Oklahoma City. And so a week ago, the White House just announced about 20 new cities to have the TechHire designation, and Oklahoma City was one of them. And what I tell people is that, Oklahoma City got the designation and Dallas doesn't, so that's kind of a little stickler to them. So,
well, what does success look like as you see it? What are you trying to use this kind of momentum for?
There's two great stories I like to tell. When we were known as the OKC Cocoa, there was a couple of guys who started this concept about creating this hospitality software for like the hotel space. And it was basically kind of a garage operations. And so you fast forward to today, that company's now known as Concierge. And they've received millions in venture funding. They employ a number of people, and they are committed to Oklahoma City. And then we have another story where 10 years ago there was a 16-year-old kid who came to these user groups. He was there for the design classes and for the tech classes. And you fast forward today, he's actually officing out of Starspace 46, and he's a CTO of a technology company that's based here in Oklahoma, right? And so those are the stories that we really want to have more of. And we want more Concierges, we want more Paycoms, we want more companies like that who not only grow out of Oklahoma City, but will make a commitment to stay here and really bring more jobs and opportunities for the people here in Oklahoma.
Are most of the workforce transitioning from one sector to another, or are these young people coming out of college looking for their first job?
I think, definitely most of the people coming out of college are looking for their first job. And I think part of the challenge that I'm trying to tackle is to prevent these kids from leaving the state to begin with, right? And so part of that is making sure we have a lot of opportunity and that there are cool companies here like Concierge and Tailwind, so that they can aspire and say, hey, I want to go work for this cool company here in Oklahoma City and not leave for, Austin or Silicon Valley or these other cities. But then also I think it's really important that we help people who are currently employed, that might be in the middle stage of their career, make a transition to something else, right? And right now, there's a shortage of technologists in the workforce. And so we can't just rely on the pipeline that's coming out of college. We need more than that. And so helping people to transition, from whatever they're doing now into the tech industry is really key to providing that constant pipeline of talent that these tech companies really need in order to exist and remain here in Oklahoma.
All right. Tommy Yee is the president of Starspace 46. Congratulations on your success. Love to have you come back on in a month or a few months down the line and tell us what's become of this organization.
Oh, thank you.
It's very exciting. Thanks for your commitment to Oklahoma, too.
Thank you.
We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine after this.
Hi guys, I'm Enes Kanter from Oklahoma City Thunder. We're here today in animal shelter. When I was a kid in Turkey, I have a lot of, I had cats, I have a lot of birds and fish, but I never, I had a dog before. Now I'm thinking about adopting an animal. Please get involved with OKC Animal Welfare and get involved and adopt and volunteer like I am.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. Our guest in this segment is Police Chief Bill Citty. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you, Mayor.
I haven't had you on in a little while. Since the last time we had you on, the body camera issue seems to have been resolved, and it's in the process of being implemented. So why don't you give our citizens kind of an update on where we are with body cams and how it'll work?
Well, we started the pilot program really almost a year ago, and then we had to work through some issues and with the policies and procedures and how, it's pretty complicated. It's lengthy, and it's obviously officers have some concerns about how they're going to be used and things like that. So we worked through a lot of those issues over the last years and got a procedure in place that really gives them a lot of direction on how to use those cameras. So in the meantime, we'd pulled those cameras from the field. There were about 100 of them. Until we could get that worked out. It's worked out now. We've got some agreements. Everybody feels pretty good about it, and we're getting ready to put those cameras back out on the street.
Why has that become necessary in the 21st century, do you think?
Well, it's, technology is part of our life, and it's a tool now, and it's law enforcement. One of the biggest challenges is keeping up with that technology, not only for ourselves to be able to do our jobs, but also the criminal element also has access to that. And so it's important for us to be able to, for one thing, be accountable to the public and what we do. That's more and more of an issue. And of course, with the advent of all the smartphones and the cameras on the phones, the officers out there are being watched more closely, scrutinized more closely, and in many cases videotaped. And so it's really to our benefit, not only for the officer, protection of the officer, but also for the citizens, to show that we are doing the right thing and officers are doing the right things out there, and because we are accountable. They're the ones that hire us, they're the ones we work for, and the more we can use technology to be accountable to them, I think it's important.
You meet in public meetings a lot and let people ask questions. What type of feedback, what type of questions are they asking, and what type of feedback and response do you get?
Well, with everything that's going on nationally, it doesn't matter if something happens here or not. If there's an incident that happens really anywhere across the United States, it affects law enforcement.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like it was here, even if it was several states away.
Right, it might as well be, and because a lot of them are the same issues, and use of force has always been at the forefront of those issues and how officers use that force, whether it's deadly force or anything other than that. But so those issues affect us, and those things that happen in other places, in many cases, we have to respond to those with the community. Okay, it's well, what are you doing to address these types of issues? Is it happening? Is it happening here? And if it does, what are you doing? What's the training like? What do you have in place to prevent that from happening? Those are all legitimate issues and questions by the community, and it's really nothing new. It's just that I think it's more in the forefront now because of the advent of a lot of videos and things like that that's being publicized more, and of course there's more media. There's not 3 stations anymore. There's social media, and it's just you're inundated with that. So we have to respond to that.
Have the de-escalation training methods changed through the years?
De-escalation, good officers have always de-escalated. Nobody wants to have to get in a fight. Nobody wants to have to use deadly force. Nobody wants to get hurt themselves. Officers have found ways to de-escalate. I think what you're really seeing now is you're seeing de-escalation more formalized in training. Good officers would do it on their own. But you're seeing the training now and the expectations from agencies that officers really cultivate those skills, and that we train those types of skills and that thought process. If you're going to take a call, thinking about how we're, strategically and tactically, how are we going to do that to have the best outcome for both the person that we may be dealing with or the officer themselves.
Does it take more officers to use de-escalation?
De-escalation takes more time. It's one of those things where in many cases we may have a situation now. What we're seeing here in Oklahoma City is we see our tactical units called out more because officers are stopping and backing off and saying, listen, instead of rushing in and trying to deal with somebody that maybe has a mental health problem or is on drugs or has those types of things, we're backing off and we're letting some people come in that can more safely do that. Our TAC teams train more regularly, and they're equipped and those types of things to go in and handle situations and resolve those things more safely for the person we're dealing with and for the officers. So, in cases like that, yes, those situations take time. to call somebody else out. It may take more time for the officer to have the backup, call for the backup. It takes more time to sit and talk somebody through something than it does to go slap handcuffs on them and throw them in jail. But it's much better to be able to do it that way, to resolve those issues, and hopefully in the long run incarcerate fewer people as a result of that.
Community policing is a term we hear a lot about.
Yes.
How do you define community policing?
Well, you know, it's defined a lot of ways across the country. And community policing basically, for me, is basically officers taking their time to get to know their community. It's hard for us. In some places, people will define that community policing by getting out and walking beats and riding bicycles and addressing them. And we do some of that. Bricktown area is a good example of community policing. We have officers out on bicycles, out on, you know, walking beats and that type of thing, and getting to know the people. It's about getting to know the people within the community that you're responsible for. Officers are broken into different districts. It's about having enough people. But again, that takes more manpower. It takes more time, because officers have to take the time to stop and just talk to the community they're dealing with to find out what their concerns are and problems.
And as we, kind of continue down this road of more and more body cams, how do you think that's going to interact with the public? Do you think that television stations are going to be more likely to want to show things? And on your end, how do you provide that footage to the media and other people who want to see a copy of it?
Well, there's excuse me. There's state law that requires certain things for us to release. So in many cases we don't have a choice. And really that's a good thing. I mean, like again, if you have the cameras, you need to show the public what we're doing. The hard part about that is that a lot of the times the public doesn't understand what they see. Police officers deal with, they don't get called to really good situations, nice situations, and they're dealing with a lot of issues and a lot of people that are troubled, maybe on drugs, maybe have mental health problems. At least they're emotional about something. Something's happened that we're called to, and it's a volatile situation. So in many ways, what the public will see is they'll see people at their worst, and officers have to deal with them at their worst. And a lot of times, officers have to use physical force, and even though we may define it as appropriate, a lot of the public will think that doesn't look right. But the public hasn't seen that. And so there's an educational process. They haven't seen that, and but I think it's good. And we have to be patient, and we have to be able to explain ourselves and why things are done. And I think that's going to have to happen.
When you study the history of the homicide rate or the murder rate in Oklahoma City, it had that spike in 12, down in 13,
yes,
down a lot more in 14, back up in 15. Why the fluctuation? Why isn't that a number that just goes more steadily?
Well, homicide, I always tell people not to look at homicide and determine what the rate of violence is within a community, because for some reason homicides do fluctuate. There's a lot of reasons. I mean, people talk about, we don't have as many homicides as we have fewer homicides now than we used to have. Well, you know what? Response in medical is much better, and that you don't take that into effect if you're looking at statistics back in the 50s and 60s. So I always take that with a grain of salt as far as violence is down if you're only looking at things like homicides or shootings or things like that, because medical has improved, our responses have improved. So that being said, homicides fluctuate. So from year to year, you can't. Now if they go up 10 years straight, then that's a pattern. You should take that into consideration. But really what we like to look at, or what I look at, is aggravated assaults, period. And our assaults over the years, up through 2012, had been on the rise for the past 10 years. And so, and after that, some of the things we did and some of the initiatives, we actually reduced that, and assaults have been going down, and this year it's slightly up. So there's some concerns, and there's probably a lot of different reasons for that, and we'll have to see if that continues and try to determine, what the causes are.
Well, I know our citizens appreciate the work you and your men and women do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Police Chief Bill Citty with the Oklahoma City Police Department. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine after this.
At Embark, we're not just stops on a map or collection of random people. We are a community connected.
Since I usually don't get off till around 11, having this late night route is really a stress reliever for me.
Our choices on where to live, work, learn, meet and play, grow with the connections we create. And with strong connections come economic opportunities and vibrant communities. Where public transit goes, community grows. Plan your journey at embarkok.com.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. A special treat in this third segment. We're going to meet and hear from singer-songwriter Chelsey Cope. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
What a great opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet.
Now, tell me your age and how long you've been playing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so you're asking a woman's age on
I
here.
know,
That's fine.
and on television too.
I'm 28. I've been playing for, well, since I was about 13 years old.
Okay, and you tell me you grew up in Ada?
I did. I was born in Ada. I grew up spending my summers there playing competitive softball, but I actually grew up in Tulsa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what schools did you attend?
I went to Jinx from kindergarten all throughout high school.
All right.
So.
And were you playing typical opportunities during high school years?
Yeah, those opportunities were usually just little coffee shops. I'd beg my friends to come watch me play. My parents always did. They're very supportive. But yeah, just coffee shops, events, art shows, little stuff like that.
You're a singer and songwriter. Do you remember when you wrote your first song and were able to play it?
I do. My first song I wrote was an instrumental song. And since I am self-taught everything, I just kind of messed around on the guitar and for a while and came up with this piece. So it didn't even have any lyrics or anything. I didn't really know I was a singer until a little bit later. But yeah, it took me a long time to write that song. I think maybe 4 or 5 months. But I'd spend 6 hours every day kind of practicing my room alone. So.
And when did you first decide you wanted to kind of do this full time?
It kind of just evolved into that. I don't think it was ever a decision I had to make. I feel like it kind of chose me in a way. If I ever stopped doing it, it was just, instant sadness. I just really enjoyed doing it. My older sister grew up loving Garth Brooks. I think we all kind of did. And she asked for a guitar one year from our grandparents. So they bought her a guitar, and I was always grounded and in trouble. So I kind of taught myself how to play. And I think right around when I left for college, my first year, I think was when I really knew that it's what I wanted to do, just because everything else that came with college and classes didn't really help me in the ways of art and music. And so that was a really hard struggle for me because it was what I wanted to do, and I knew it at that point. So. You
said you recently went to Haiti. What was that all about?
Yeah, so it really just happened so quickly. About a couple years ago, I played this fundraiser for an organization called Jasper House. And a friend of mine asked me to play it at City Pres with JB, actually. And the girl that runs the organization, she was really nice. She's from Oklahoma City. She's right around my age. And she started this organization for younger women in Haiti that are trying to escape prostitution and trafficking and all these things. So she really went there with no idea about the language, didn't really understand any of the culture at all, and built this organization and this nonprofit for these young girls. And I ran into her, I guess it was 2 years later, which was recently, and told her I was going to come. I don't think she believed me, but we had coffee, and I think about a month later I was there.
And what did you see there? I mean, Haiti's a horrific place, but
yeah,
but a lot of well-meaning people are trying to help.
Oh, definitely. I obviously had no idea what to expect. As far as leaving the country, I've been to Mexico and Canada. I tried to prepare myself as much as I could, but you really can't prepare yourself for something you see with your own eyes. I was very sad, but there were also really beautiful parts to it as well, their lifestyle, and I think that I got acclimated very easily to cold showers and because you see them living this way and you see how they survive, so it's possible, and it put a lot of things into perspective for me, and living here with all the things we could possibly need. And
do you think it'll affect your songwriting?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm kind of weird when I come out of situations like that and life experiences such as Haiti. I think it takes me a little while to get comfortable writing about it. I kind of have to soak it in for a while and think on it. But
yeah, do you write the lyrics first or the music first?
I usually write the music first. And then I kind of hum a melody in my mind, and then I sit down and write the words to that melody. So.
Yeah. Are these ballads? Are they love songs? What's your inspiration?
Love songs? No way. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. It's funny. I feel like my inspiration comes to me most whenever someone's upset me, or something in the world is happening, upsets me, makes me happy. I don't know. It's definitely my writing surrounds itself by what's going on in the world. Absolutely.
Well, what song are we going to hear in a few seconds?
So I wrote this song called Black and White, and it's kind of like a picture, black and white, of my own life and how music is kind of the path I've chosen for myself, regardless of if it makes me any money or whatever. So that's kind of what that song is about, and it's on my new upcoming record I haven't quite released yet. So.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing it, and I'll introduce it, and you'll be ready to play.
I will.
All right. Chelsey Cope, Oklahoma artist, playing her song that she wrote and is now performing, and it's called Black and White.
It's come to this, I cannot resist the power of letting go. I try to twist, propose, and end, but all of this is out of my control. Black and white, black and white, black and white is all that I'm seeing. And this soul I hold so close is waiting to be free. But I don't need money, don't need money, don't need a honey with a fake heart. But I need everything you never believed in from the start. I'll shut you out, eventually I'll shout, and all of my thoughts will fall to the floor. I'll reach out to you like I always do, but isn't that what your strings are for? Black and white, black and white,